Like the debate here is funny because I don't put stock in heritage other than being very interesting as a topic. Like I have interesting things about my family history that I find personally very interesting, but to say that that gives you some kind of status is where you and I would agree that that's ridiculous.
That's
Um,
Kabbalah. I mean, Kabbalah has in some way made our religion another form of bigotry. If for
yeah,
some reason any
absolutely.
group in the world would spew the nonsense spewed by Kabbalists regarding Gentiles, they would probably be called bigoted. But we get away with it because these left-wing organizations, they misappropriate our religion and they call everyone an anti-Semite when our kids have to pay the price. One of my main goals online is to de-ethnicize Judaism. Now, I acknowledge there's an ethnic component to the Jewish people, but Judaism is not an ethno religion.
Right.
Judaism is just a religion. Yeah.
I mean, also there's a really big problem here. We see we are the chosen people in the Torah, and people take that and it goes straight to the head.
So I don't believe that Jews are the chosen people. I think we're the choosing people.
Mm,
I
interesting.
think that it's Israel that chose God. It's essentially Abraham that chose God. I mean, you don't choose blindly and test someone 10 different ways. We chose God, and then God, in a poetic manner, then says, only then says, because you chose me, now I chose you. And it because when particularly did God choose Israel? Don't forget, on Mount Sinai, there was the Erev Rav, the mixed multitude, which the rabbis are unanimous in the Talmud outnumbered the Jews, right? And then there were the Hebrews, and they all said Nasiv and Ishmael, and they all became Israel like a few verses later. When did when did God choose Israel? No, Israel chose God. As a matter of fact, God was pleading with Israel for Israel to choose him. Choose life that you shall live, right? Don't choose this destructive path. And only then does God basically, after we chose to be chosen, right? Does he then say, I have chosen you in a poetic manner? It's called, I mean, I looked this up online once. It's called reciprocal framing. I believe that's a term that it's used in literature, that he in some way reinforces the fact that you chose him, but he flips it around and says that he chose you. And it's really getting stuck on first stage thinking. God doesn't choose people blindly. It's a complete meritocracy, which is why over 100 times in the Chumash, the phrase lekaret appears, that if you do such and such, you shall be cut off from your people. So what's this point of being chosen if I don't live up to the standard, I'm kicked out? No, because it was always a meritocracy. You were always, judged by what you brought to the table. And if you didn't bring it, you were kicked out. So yes, according to halacha, if you happen to have a Jewish mother, according to halacha, you're Jewish. I mean, it's a rabbinic ruling that having a Jewish mother makes you Jewish. Okay, but it's similar to being born of Islamic parents makes you Muslim. It doesn't mean that God validates you as Jewish just because you have a Jewish mother. It just means that from an Islamic perspective, you don't have to say your Shahada. From a Jewish perspective, if you lived in biblical Israel, they could like adjudicate you for breaking the Sabbath, but that doesn't mean that you were special to God, which is what the Kabbalists teach nowadays, that the soul is transferred through the mother. When, like, according to Tosfos and Rabbi Kiva, you needed a Jewish mother and a Jewish father, and it was only Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai who brought up the notion of just a Jewish mother. People who make these statements are completely ignorant of Jewish law,
Maybe the
unfortunately.
Kabbalists that say that have some kind of issue they're projecting about who their father might be, but